So now that this thing kind of looks like a car again, I can go back to my original plan and idea of doing everything up front here and then working my way towards the back. Got the rocker panels done, obviously, the front door jambs, the cowl, the fender's not mounted. So the next piece is going to be these rear door jamb parts here. Mainly the bottom spot where they kind of mount to the rockers is pretty rough. Everything above it is in decent shape. This kind of lip right here where it gets pinch welded to the quarter is pretty rough as well. And I figured instead of making a whole new piece for this and messing with that, for 150 bucks, you can buy the new ones there from AMD. So figured that might as well just be worth it. Step one of replacing these though is going to be going ahead and putting a little brace or spacer between the quarter and this like inner quarter piece right here. That way that spacing will be right. That doesn't flex on that. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. Then I'm going to go through wire wheel this entire edge right here, and I'm probably just going to cut it right here and then grind all the spot welds down rather than trying to drill them out, just because this inner piece here is pretty thin and I'd like to not damage that at all. So nice plan going forward. Hopefully I can get this all knocked out relatively quick here, and then we can get the new ones mocked up in place. For everyone questioning if it was necessary to cut the car up this much, because that seems to be a common question, here is yet another reason as to why the quarter panel is riveted on. That's pretty much how this whole car is. It was in a wreck at some point, at least this section of the car was. Just wait till the video comes out where I take this quarter panel off, because as you can see, a little sneak peek, that's going to be a fun one there. But this makes me glad I went ahead and got the full pieces there rather than just trying to patch the bottom, because that is just an absolute disaster under all that Bondo. Just covered in Bondo, smoothed over. Never would have known. Passenger side here is officially all torn apart. All the scraps are on the ground there, and just drilling out all these spot welds just took some time. Not the most interesting, so I didn't really show it, but went ahead, popped out all the rivets on the quarter here, and as you can see, the cord just kind of fell apart as I was doing so. So at least I have a little lip here that I can Cleco, or I'll use a self-tapper into the new panel right here to hold that in place until the time comes for the quarters. So that's the plan for that. Other than that, this panel here is looking good. Just took my time, ground down all the spot welds. I think what I'm going to do when I put the new panel on is drill through this and then spot weld it from the inside here. That way I don't have to worry about grinding it down on the brand new panel. That'll still be all nice and flush. It'll be a little bit easier just to sand those down from the inside there. Now that this is pretty much all prepped and ready for the new piece to go on, I'm gonna go ahead and do the same thing on this side and knock that one out as well. Driver's side is officially all cut off now. You can see both pieces right there. Those can go in the scrap pile, and I went through and got both sides now prepped and ready for the new pieces. So ground down the rockers, ground down these spots that will get spot welded on the new pieces here, the lip there as well, and then went ahead and drilled out all the holes where these pinch welds are going to come together, as long as some on the inside there. Threw some weld through primer on this just because it's kind of going to be in a tough gap to get from the back side. And then once I go to do the quarter, I'll pop this brace off. It'll be a lot easier to get to it then, rather than trying to reach in there and try to, I don't want to mess anything up here. And then I can wire wheel all of this as well once the quarter's off. I'm gonna go ahead and start test fitting the new panel here, get that all mocked up. Hopefully I can get both of these tacked in place before the end of the night here, and we'll just see where it goes from there. got the passenger side transition from the door jamb to the rocker here pretty much where I want it. I just hit it with some 80 grit, so it'll still need some more refining, but overall, not too bad. Pretty happy with the way that it turned out there. I got a few more things to work on this door jamb here. Them being these plug welds or spot weld for the braces on the inside, so you can kind of see how that leaves a dimple there. Those leave some dimples there. There's some in here, and then there's a few on the bottom right there you can see. So right now I'm going to go ahead and just put a little kind of plug weld over the top of that, and then grind that down, sand it all smooth. You can see the plug welds on the inside of this turned out super good. And I got my nice clean flat edge here, just sanded that. We'll need some touch-ups on the inside here to get that totally where I want it. So some more work to do on that. But the main piece here looking good. Now it's time for all the little detail stuff to make this super clean. There we have it. Both door jambs are complete for the most part. The last step, obviously, welding them to the quarters once I get the new quarters, but everything is smoothed out. There's no more weld seams, so I did the same thing on these as I did the front door jambs here. These came from the factory, as there was a seam here, and then about midway through this kind of little lip on the rocker right here, and then from the factory there'd just be, a couple spot welds right here, a couple spot welds on that lip, and then there would just be a lip there. That's just how it looked. I wasn't a huge fan of that, so on the fronts here I went ahead, fully welded that up, smoothed that out, went ahead, did the exact same thing here on the back, so it's going to look all nice and flush. I can't wait to toss some primer and paint on this to get that look there and kind of see it all done, quote unquote. The spot welds there, I wasn't a huge fan of the look of them, so I went ahead, just kind of threw a little rosette weld over the top, ground that down. Got it all nice and smoothed out now. Same thing kind of down the side right there. There's a couple spot welds for a bracket that goes to the inner quarter there as well. So passenger side one here is all wrapped up. Let me move this thing over here and show you guys the driver's side. Pretty much identical over here. Smooth that out as well. Did the same thing with the plug welds up on the top there. One thing I want to mention though is when I go ahead and put the new quarters on, you can see this lip here, how the factory had it. Those plug welds would all go through right there. I think I'm gonna go ahead and trim this lip off, and then I'll weld the quarter to the edge of this door jamb piece right here, all the way across, and then make that, kind of all smooth. Kind of the theme of this whole car here is just, little details, perfecting little things like that, that majority of people won't even notice, but you guys that are watching this right now, or have a keen eye for stuff like this, will notice it once it's all said and done, and I think that'll be pretty cool to see it all come to life here. Inside of these things are looking pretty good too. There's just a bunch of spot welds down the side right there, a couple right there, and then a couple up top. So I got those all sanded down and smoothed out. And about midway through this, I was thinking, I don't know if I totally want to keep this. If anything, I'm going to be trimming off this bottom section. You can kind of see this piece right here. And then I'm going to make one piece that goes up here that welds to the bottom rocker. That'll go to the back, and then I can trim that when it comes time for the wheel wells. That's option number one. Option number two is I want to make kind of my own piece for this. The issue with that is this piece has all my bracing connected to it. And for some of the things I want to do, I would need some new tools, which are kind of expensive. Right now, I'm in the process of saving up quite a bit for this next project, which you guys will see in, I don't know, maybe 2 or 3 weeks. That has to be done by the middle of September. So I think these kind of interior panels here are going to get put on hold for a little while. I have an idea up here. I want to draw it out because I think I can make something cool that kind of flows from this back inner quarter to the door, and then to these front pieces I'll make on my custom door jambs up here. Lots of ideas floating around, and one kind of affects the other, but at least these are in place right now. If I do decide to keep these are all smooth. I like them. need some final touch up. I didn't want to go crazy on them until I decide I actually want to keep these and, you know, waste a bunch of time. So at least they're in place for now, but I think that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for this video here. Pretty happy with the way these turned out, and it's pretty cool to see, you know, the rocker, this piece, the cowl, and this kind of all come together, because since the beginning my plan in my head has been get the base started, which is the rocker, and then work my way from the front, so, you know, the door jamb, the cowl, kind of to the back here, and we're at that stage right now. So a little bit of accomplishment for that plan to all come together there. It's a good feeling, and I cannot wait to get the rest of the sheet metal on this thing and finally be done looking at this orangish reddish color. I am so sick of seeing this color. I don't think I'm ever going to paint a car like that.